Well, joining us now is Texas Congressman and retired U.S. Air Force officer Pat Fallon. Congressman, great to have you with us tonight.
Jen, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, what really concerns me is, the past couple of weeks we've been focusing on the crisis in Afghanistan, bringing Americans home, but this crisis at the border has been unrelenting virtually since Biden took office. And now I have concerns. I'm not sure if you share those concerns, but, you have people, these terrorists that are threatening the United States that see this porous border and saying, here's an opportunity.
Well, Jen, you make a great point. So in the last calendar year, we've identified 70 different countries that have had citizens cross our southern border illegally. In the last few years, it's been 120 countries. So while most of the folks that migrate to the United States illegally are either Mexican citizens or from Central America, not all of them are. And not all of the folks are coming here to just to lead a better life either. And the real thing that we need to point out is when you immigrate to this country legally, then you have a chance to live the American dream, and that's beautiful. But when you migrate here illegally, you're probably going to face American dependency, and that's exactly what the Socialist Party wants. They just want their descendants' votes.
And Pat, it's getting so bad down there in Texas. Your governor, Greg Abbott, he's decided to shut down 6 ports of entry along the southern border. He put out a statement today saying, I've directed the Department of Public Safety and the Texas National Guard to surge personnel and vehicles to shut down 6 points of entry along the border. The border crisis is so dire that U.S. Customs and Border Protection is requesting our help as their agents are overwhelmed by the chaos. I mean, are we at a point now where it's time that we perhaps need to shut down all border crossings so we can get a hand on this situation? It's just been out of control for so many months now, and I know the Border Patrol is very much overwhelmed.
Well, Jen, riddle me this, and this is what I've been asking anybody that's either an independent or left of center to defend the Biden policy. Biden says that COVID is a dire threat. Okay, fair enough. He will not let anybody come to this country just to visit from Canada, even if they're vaccinated, even if they test negative upon arrival. Europe, Asia, all over the world. It's not allowed right now. It's not permitted. And yet they've allowed 1.7 million people, almost 2 million folks in the last almost year to come to this country illegally without getting tested for COVID. And if they do and they test positive, they still release them into the American homeland. So that's an incredibly inconsistent policy, and it's absurd.
Yeah. Meanwhile, millions of Americans are being forced into getting the vaccine, but the illegals get a free pass when they come in. I want to ask you as well, you see the surge going on. The Biden administration was ordered to continue the Remain in Mexico policy under the Trump administration. It doesn't seem like that's taking place. They're not being asked to remain in Mexico from what it looks like.
You know what Joe Biden loves and the other socialists? They only enforce laws they like. They ignore the ones that they don't. And then, of course, are we a rule of law nation or not? I don't want him to do the Republican thing or the Democratic thing. I want him to do the right thing. What's right for America? Putting America first. And that's why legal migration, where people can come here and they already have a marketable skill and they have English proficiency, they're going to thrive. That's in the best interest of our nation state. But when you allow anybody to come in and we don't even know who they are, that's not in our best interest. And it's quite frankly not in the migrants' best interest either.
And Pat, I don't know if you saw this, but didn't make much news this week. DHS Secretary Mayorkas' chief of staff, she resigned this week, earlier this week, submitted her resignation, and it hasn't gotten a lot of news. If it was the Trump administration, somebody resigning in DHS, it would have had a lot of news. But what do you think is going on within DHS right now that you have Mayorkas' right-hand person saying this is the end for them?
It speaks volumes, and it's chaos. So Mayorkas, few months back, Jen, testified in front of the Homeland Security Committee in the House. And he said with a straight face, oh, the border is secure. He was under oath when he said that. So maybe he believed that. I don't think he did, because then he was caught on a hot mic a couple of weeks ago saying the border is a catastrophe. So which is it? Is it a catastrophe or is it secure? So it's not surprising that somebody would resign. And quite frankly, there's probably many more resignations to come.
Yeah. And Pat, quickly before we let you go, what are you hearing right now when you're speaking with law enforcement down there at the border, with property owners, what they're dealing with firsthand?
Jen, their hearts are broken. Now, every state, Joe Biden has now made every state a border state, not just Texas and New Mexico and Arizona and California. All 50 now are border states. And they want to just enforce the law. They want to do their jobs. They want them to take the cuffs off. What Border Patrol tell us when they're not having a KGB handler around is because that's what the administration does. They want to see what they're telling the members of Congress, but they feel like they're doing their jobs with one hand tied behind their back. We have the means to secure our border. We simply don't have the will because Biden doesn't want it to happen.
Yeah, well, Congressman Pat Fallon, appreciate all you do to draw attention to this crisis. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us.
Thanks, Jen. God bless you. Take care.
God bless you.